This week at IFA 2017 in Berlin, LG launched its new V30, hot on the heels of last week's Samsung unveiling of the Galaxy Note 8. When these two manufacturers launched their first ultra-widescreen handsets earlier this year, that new look for phones was still a novelty. Now with these even larger screen follow-ups arriving, what can we expect in terms of refined design, improved performance, and extra functionality? When you look at just the features and hardware specs of these two phones, they sure sound like very similar devices, but right away we're struck by just how different the designs are. Sure, both have curved corner, super widescreen displays, 6.3 inches for the Note 8 and 6 inches for the V30, but while the V30 might be mistaken on first glance for a more typically shaped smartphone, the Note 8 is an outright oddity with an exceptionally tall, boxy design. It's both narrower and taller than the V30, largely a consequence of its lack of side bezels thanks to its curved edge display, and while only slightly thicker, the Note 8 weighs nearly 40 grams more than LG's phone. While the better looking handset may be a case of personal preference, we've definitely got to argue that the V30 is the winner here when it comes to placing its fingerprint scanner. Both phones go for rear mounting, but while the V30's is easy to reach, the Note 8's is just so high up that it can be difficult to hit without adjusting your grip. AMOLED screens are Samsung's bread and butter, so it's no surprise to see the Note 8 use such a panel in a Quad HD Plus resolution. LG is better known for going with LCDs like on the V20 and G6, so it's a special treat that the V30 picks up an AMOLED screen of its own, also rocking Quad HD Plus crispness. That means we get inky blacks on both phones, as well as smooth, low-latency animation. Both screens also support mobile HDR video for an enhanced viewing experience. Performance is solidly fast on these two, thanks to the presence of Snapdragon 835 chips, something Samsung's familiar with from the Galaxy S8, but a new choice for LG. While both ship with the same 64GB storage level, Samsung one-ups LG when it comes to RAM, giving the Note 8 6GB while the V30 gets the more standard 4. We need to do some more testing to see if that makes an appreciable difference, but there's not an obvious winner just yet. While past LG V-series phones offered a secondary screen up top, LG's abandoning that iconic look for the V30. To be fair though, the screen takes up so much of the phone's face that there really wouldn't be room for a protrusion like that anyway. The Note 8, meanwhile, is a little more true to its roots, and it marks the return of Samsung's S Pen stylus. The implementation here is only slightly tweaked from last year, on the hardware side featuring a redesigned tip, while software picks up support for things like Samsung's Bixby Assistant. Speaking of Bixby, it's here on the Note 8 just like it was on the Galaxy S8, complete with dedicated hardware button to call it up. The V30 sticks with the more familiar Google Assistant, enhanced with the presence of some new commands specific to this phone. Maybe the most interesting comparison to be drawn between these phablets is in terms of what they can do with their cameras. The V30 continues to refine LG's dual camera design, adding a new glass lens and working to decrease distortion in wide-angle shots. The Note 8 picks up a dual camera system of its own, a first for Samsung, and really hits the ground running with optical stabilization on both. Each of these phones offers some decent camera software, but it's clear they're placing the priorities differently. Samsung dips into the standard package of dual camera tricks, supporting background blur bokeh effects, while the V30 is much more invested in video, delivering some attractive color grading effects with its Cinevideo mode and a powerfully controllable point zoom mode that lets you easily highlight subjects. It is worth noting though that while both these phones claim wide-angle support, LG is easily the wide-angle king, and the field of view of its standard camera is comparable to the Note 8's wide-angle, whereas wide-angle in the V30 is in another league entirely. We're just scratching the surface here with this early comparison, and we'll be spending a lot more time with both the Galaxy Note 8 and LG V30 as we prepare their full reviews. Thanks for watching, and make sure you follow Phone Arena so you don't miss any of that upcoming coverage.